Hey, are you seriously podcasting alone?
Nah, I'm with my...
Are you trying to grab my cock right now?
Give it to me 2
That's
seconds.
wild.
You think you are the shit, but really, you're not even the fart.
That's some like deep philosophical shit.
You're
man.
nothing but a tart.
That is Werner Herzog doing Ice Spice. Yep.
doing a
Great
nice
stuff,
size.
Johnny.
Great.
He's
Thank
like,
you.
what the fuck?
Get off my dick, daddy.
He's bringing all the ice spice into this.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is John. I'm sitting here with another John and one Nicola.
Hola.
We are the boys. Welcome to the Boys vs. Everything.
Yeah, no Pressy today.
No Brezzy today. She's working at the F1.
She's too cool for us.
She's got better things to do than podcasting.
She's actually one of the race car drivers.
So while last week we explored the wild life and times of Werner Herzog,
The greatest man alive.
literally,
Honestly, love him.
we also delved into the tyranny of Klaus Kinski.
Fuck that guy. I don't want nothing to do with him today.
I told you all about how his behavior on the set of the movie Crawl Space nearly got him assassinated.
Somebody's got to take his legs.
But that was Klaus Kinski in his 60s, by the point where he'd long been revered and mythologized by the public. Before Klaus was even on the map, he was roommates with the man who would put him on that very map years later, Werner Herzog.
What the?
No way.
How the fuck does that even come to be?
And yeah, we'll talk about it. Oh, by the way, and just to give a refresher to the audience of the vibes of Werner Herzog, I have a couple stories and mini clips here that just could not fit into the episode. Like they're so fucking random because that's how this man's life goes.
He's just such a chill badass.
He's an angel.
Yeah.
And then the other one's just like the devil incarnate.
I didn't show this clip last episode, so I'm going to show this. It's for the audience, but here's Werner Herzog describing a penguin.
Walking to his death.
Yeah, it's one of the best clips.
Spectacular commentary. Everybody try to mimic it at home while you're listening. I
Yeah,
swear.
well, whenever you think of all the situation we're going to talk about today, you have to imagine this voice through it all.
Yeah. Like when you're taking a shit and just narrate your own shit.
The poop was falling slowly.
These penguins are all heading to the open water to the right.
Out in water.
But one of them caught our eye, the one in the center.
No!
He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor
This is so
return
fucking
to
sad.
the colony.
Clips are in the description, by the
Shortly
way. If you wanna watch
afterwards,
one.
we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away.
The boy.
Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains.
He's just running furiously.
Somebody broke his heart.
But why?
Like,
But
fuck it.
why?
He's going to find his love. It's sad, but he made it.
I'm going to stop it there. But yeah, if you want to see that clip, you can find it in the description. I have the visual companion as with all the clips in this episode. I'm also probably going to post some of these on Instagram as well, so you can look at that up. It's BV Pod. And I have just one more story that just doesn't fucking fit anywhere, but you guys should know about this. Werner Herzog was shot once.
The fuck, dude?
Of course he was.
So
He's better than Tupac. No.
So it has happened in California, of all places that he could have been shot.
Right?
It happens in California during an interview with the BBC.
It's always the BBC.
Somebody just shoots him. Like he gets like shot by like literally somebody, and it's like a BB gun or something like that. But
Oh, BB gun.
it's the most random fucking thing to ever happen. But it's on camera, and it's kind of funny because
I thought he got Snoop Dogged.
no.
Okay, Snoop
That's
Dogg.
a good reference.
Snoop Dogg never got shot.
That's a good reference
We-
to him making that funny comment.
Well, listen,
Wait, did you leave that in?
we thought he got. Yes, we kept it in.
Yeah,
was a
so
mistake.
it makes sense.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of got previous with Werner Herzog, haven't you? Because there was a bit of a story about him being shot when he was with you, and I think he's been talking it up in the press, hasn't he?
What's happened is, when I interviewed Herzog for the Culture Show a while ago about his film Grizzly Man, I was interviewing him in Los Angeles, out on an open road, and in the middle of the interview, he got shot. He now has been telling that story and dining out, and every time he tells the story, he becomes more courageous, which I have to say he was. And we, the BBC, become more and more cowardly. It's like, oh yes, they were ducking and running away, but I was just standing there. To me, it is an insignificant bullet.
Well, I think in the mood of fairness and transparency that the BBC is embracing
it's like
at the
a
moment,
BB
we can all
gun, I
relive
think.
that as
Or
it
it's like one of those
actually
air
happened right now.
rifles.
In Germany, I've somehow left the paved road. Nobody cares about my films. For example, what was that?
What was that?
We quickly realised that some wacko had taken a pot shot at us with an air rifle, and Herzog had been hit. So this literally just happened when we were standing outside
on
there.
Camera.
He's taking his pants off.
And there was a noise, and it was a weird. And you just said, "I've been shot." Look, you're bleeding.
Oh, it's an air rifle.
Yeah.
Look, somebody shot at you and
that's
created
the
a
one I was.
wound in
That's
your
what I'm
abdomen.
Not significant.
Yeah.
The scariest thing about that is that when he reveals the bullet wound, it's hard not to go, but he's wearing paisley boxer shorts. Werner Herzog, the man who's been in the jungles of Peru and everything, wears paisley boxer shorts. God bless him.
He likes a little bit of luxury underneath. Don't we all? Don't we all, Mark?
Well, after like such a treacherous life, like you'd want to be comfortable.
You could be entitled to some
I
comfy
think-
fucking underwear.
He did he's like doing his most of his life, and then he just had all these boxes checked off, and the one that was just never checked off is getting shot. And then he just got shot. Now he's like,
never been
I'm done.
shot before.
No, I've never been shot before
But now he
in
does,
the
yeah.
wilderness. But it's a wild fucking. It's like while an interview, with
Yes.
like a wild movie to be getting shot while talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the cool part because it's exactly like how do you say this? But it's just like him to like not even like flinch at it. Like, oh, what the hell was that?
He was about to commentate his own
They
shot.
do so much crazy shit that it's like, of course, another thing happens.
Exactly. But anyway, so Klaus Kinski and Werner Herzog were actually roommates at one point. And we're going to talk about that story, basically. So Werner Herzog was 13 years old when Klaus Kinski moved into the same boarding house as him and his family. Kinski was kind of a starving artist out on his own on the streets at this time, or at least playing the part of one. Kinski upholds this idea that he was a down-on-his-luck starving artist all the time, but he had grown up kind of a member of an aristocracy. So a lot of it's kind of just like bullshit.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, his downtrodden persona had worked. He'd been let into this boarding house to live rent-free for 3 months. The boarding house could hold like 5 or 6 rooms of people, so there were other guests, including this one woman with her children. And one of the first times Werner saw him, he was being beaten with a wooden tray by a woman he sexually harassed. Like he ran his hands up her skirt.
Oh my God.
And so like the first time Werner comes home, he's 13 years old. He just sees him like running back to his room because this woman's beating him with a board.
How old is he at this point?
Kinski?
Kinski.
Kinski's in his 20s.
Okay. So they have like a 10-year difference.
Yeah, this is from Werner's memoirs, Every Man for Himself, which was like one of the larger sources for this series here. Quote, he didn't make much money, but it must be said that he also loved the part of the misunderstood starving genius. Not far from us, he squatted in an empty attic in an old apartment house and frightened away the legitimate owner, who wanted to throw him out. Instead of furniture, he scattered dry leaves throughout this apartment until eventually they were knee-deep. He slept in them. Like my father, he never wore clothes when he was at home. He disdained them as the hypocrisy of civilization that kept us from ever experiencing true nature.
That is so German.
That's just a dad thing to do too.
That's some like wild shit. Like you just walk into somebody's living room and there's knee-high fucking leaves.
First of all, he's squatting in someone's house because this is before he moves into the boarding house. There's an apartment block across the street that he just decides to squat in, and when the owner finds him, he's he just brought so many leaves into the place for some reason.
He cleaned up the whole neighborhood, but he just brought it home.
I don't know.
He's the epitome of like bringing your work home with you. You know.
Yeah. So
like, I'm raking leaves for money, but at least I'll have a bed.
So when the postman knocked, a stark naked Kinski would come rustling to the door. On stage, he provoked one scandal after another. Anytime he became aware of the least inattention on the part of the audience, just a little cough would do it, he screamed abuse at the spectators. He hurled a candelabrum with burning candles into the audience once. He would have regular fits of rage because he hadn't learned lines properly and choked. When he had a monologue in one production where he only knew the beginning, he rolled himself in a carpet on the stage and lay there until audiences started to protest and the theater was forced to drop the curtain.
Dude, what the fuck? On his own incompetence as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are we still paying this guy?
Like, how is someone working like that? And they're like, let's keep hiring him.
I know. I don't know.
And they think he's a legend. Like, what the fuck?
And this is before he gets that status. He's still like kind of he's just doing theater, and in theater he kind of struggles.
He's like the actual Kanye effect, but like really malicious.
Kinda, yeah.
Worse, because at least Kanye's entertaining.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a god, but I'm like not prepared at all.
But just truth be told though, the thing about Kinski is he actually is a good actor. When he remembers his lines and when he does his shit right. That's why film ends up being a better medium for him, because in film, you can have another take if you fuck up your lines. In theater, if you fuck up your lines, you gotta save your ass.
And there's somebody that can put you on the cutting room floor and save your ass.
Yeah, that too. Exactly. Good call. So Clara, the woman who ran the boarding house, was very tolerant with Kinski. She had a love for the arts and wanted to show support in any way she could. She even included meals in the rent, but Kinski couldn't even eat food like a normal person. He would eat with his hands or put the plate on his head and eat from it like that.
Ooh, monkey.
Yeah, I don't know why. Just a fucking asshole in this woman's kitchen.
He goes to the cafeteria and he just starts eating like a fucking chimpanzee.
Reminder, he's living rent-free.
My God.
One evening, Clara invites a critic to dinner to help boost Klaus's career, and the critic is actually head over heels with Klaus. He was raving about Klaus's most recent performance. Here's from Werner's memoirs again. The critic's name was Francois, and he was so fat that his pants wouldn't do up. I don't know, it's kind of rude of Werner, but whatever.
Accurate, probably.
He was solidly in Kinski's camp, praising him for his performance the previous evening. Quote, "You were splendid. You were magnificent." Then something happened very quickly. A streak of movement that one only sees in cartoon films, and Kinski had hurled a succession of steaming hot potatoes off his own plate right across the table into the critic's face, and simultaneously had leapt to his feet, pale with rage. There followed knives and forks snatched from the plate settings of his neighbors. A veritable Gatling burst. And with all that was going on, Kinski roared, "I was not splendid. I was not magnificent. I was monumental. I was epochal."
What a fucking crazy person.
What a fucking asshole.
Those are some words I'm gonna have to look up.
Those are not the words I wanted you to say.
And again, like, living rent-free, and this woman's actually trying to boost his career too, and this is how he repays
Not only
her.
that, but like a critic is actually like cockriding you really hard.
Yeah.
And then you decide to just fucking turn him against you really
Like,
bad.
how fucking dare you use the wrong words? I'm a genius. He's German Kanye, basically. So this here's from the Telegraph. One of Kinski's more routine habits was screaming at the landlady for not ironing his shirt collars well enough. He also locked himself in the bathroom for 2 entire days. As Herzog remembers, he smashed everything to the point where you could sift through it all with a tennis racket. So just for 2 straight days, he's breaking shit and screaming in a bathroom.
You know what he gives me like the vibe of? I know he's German, but he gives me like that short Latina vibe. You know what I mean? Crazy
Dude.
short Latina.
Dude, this guy is mentally fucking ill.
Yeah.
Not a short Latinas are like, they'll fight you, but like,
But like,
they're not like that.
No, but not like that. But like, you cheat on a short Latino.
Wow. It's great comments.
Fuck the French.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, one of the only people in this boarding house that wasn't deathly afraid of Kinski is Werner's mother, who ultimately takes on the task of evicting Kinski on Clara's behalf.
God bless.
Living under the same roof as Klaus Kinski teaches Werner to concentrate and do the work under even the most chaotic conditions. And it is under chaotic conditions that Werner would go on to write the script for the film we are about to talk about. So, the first film in question is a film called Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Now, Aguirre, The Wrath of God is the story of Don Lope de Aguirre, a 16th century Spanish conquistador / madman who is leading an expedition through the Amazon in search of El Dorado. This is a period piece set deep in the Peruvian jungle, complete with costumes, llamas, and authentic native extras.
Llamas? Ooh.
Yeah, he's got llamas in the movie. I think llamas are alpacas. I might be wrong about that. Which ones are in Peru? I think they're both in Peru.
I think they're both in Peru. Yeah, they're both down there.
I think there might be a mix. Anyway, So now Werner claims he wrote the script for Aguirre in only 2.5 days, most of it while he was traveling with his soccer team. There's this story that one of the players got sick and they sat him behind Werner at the back of the bus because like they were all drinking on this bus. They had kegs on the bus and they were just drinking and riding on the bus. So they put this guy who was feeling fucking sick, and this guy was trying to read his script as Werner was writing it, like typing it on the bus. And at some point, what happens is as the ride went on, the player got worse and threw up all over Werner's typewriter and pages.
Wow. Typewriter? He brought a whole ass typewriter?
This was back in the days. You had a whole ass typewriter.
You need a whole ass typewriter.
Bro, he brought a fucking tank of a typewriter.
They used to come in briefcases.
Oh.
You used to just pop off the top. I still have one like that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's cool. He ends up having to throw these pages up and he completely forgets what the hell he wrote on them. So, like, he just has to, like, rewrite whatever the fuck from memory.
He just freestyled half of it.
And as he's writing the script, he gets the idea that the only man capable of playing the rabid Don Lope de Aguirre was Klaus Kinski. So Herzog sent Kinski the script. This is from his memoirs. Quote, between 3 and 4 in the morning, the phone rang, Herzog recalled. It took me at least a couple of minutes before I realized that it was Kinski who was the source of this inarticulate screaming. And after an hour of this, it dawned on me that he found it the most fascinating screenplay and wanted to be Aguirre.
So he couldn't speak.
I don't know what the fuck.
I think he might have been fucking.
They both speak German.
Yeah, right?
Damn.
I think he
just
might have
couldn't
been
understand
shit
him.
How old is Werner here?
He's trying to get like a timeline here.
I would
Well, 'cause he's
say
with his soccer team and it's like all this stuff. So like,
he's probably still in. Okay, this is 70s, so Werner's from the 40s.
So he's 30.
He's getting in his 30s. Yeah.
okay.
He's getting into his early 30s, basically. So Kinski was in, igniting one of the most intensely abusive relationships in all of cinematic history that would last 15 years and span 5 films. In the early days of the production, raising any money was disastrous. Werner's teamed up with 2 producers, his brother, who, he nicknames Lucky, and another German guy named Walter Saxer. Now, Walter Saxer, the other producer, is another badass German guy who perfectly fits the role of Werner's right-hand man. There's this story from the set of Even Dwarfs Started Small, where the truck featured in the film broke down. Saxer drove around until he found a similar model and convinced the owner to sell it to him. So he took that truck's engine, built it into the truck that they were using for the film. He did all of that. He had to modify it too so that it could fit into the truck. He did that all overnight.
Damn, he's like that one little small car there from Cars. You know the one that does all the pits?
Oh, Guido.
Guido, yeah.
Oh.
Beat stuff.
He's like Guido, like,
Yeah.
but like on set, like he'll fix anything really fast.
You'll fix a motherfucker.
I can't believe you have fucking references from Car.
From Cars, bro.
he dropped a Cars reference
I
in
know,
the
what
Werner
the
Herzog.
Yeah, man.
What Werner Herzog would think of Cars. I think that these cars are in hell. This is some sort of purgatory.
Something in the eyes.
Is a purgatory
giving-
between 2 places.
Where
Some
you are,
go to heaven, some end up in hell.
the soul of man is forced to be with machine. So here's from Werner's memoirs about Walter Saxer. Quote, he despised anyone who didn't work as hard as he did, which meant that the actors with their vanity often provoked them. During the Aguirre filming, he slept on the earth floor of a hut somewhere below Machu Picchu that belonged to a little indigenous woman and her children. It was he who, when the production was in crisis, walked all night from our shoot across 3 rapids, one after the other, and clambered up enormous slippery rocks while carrying a briefcase. I saw him once work for 60 hours nonstop. Afterwards, I found him asleep on a pile of rocks.
Who is he?
Damn.
Walter Saxer, the producer, the guy who fixed the truck on...
We should just call him by his actual name.
Walter. Guido? Fucking you goofball. So funding is tough to find. Many days of the production are spent without food, and the 3 producers would have to set out to bargain with locals. So here's again from the memoirs. I remember there sometimes wasn't anything to eat, and at night, I and a couple of pals set out in dugout canoes to an indigenous village to try to find food. Once, I swapped my good shoes for a bathtub full of fish. Another time, I left
Nice.
my... What?
That's a lot of fish.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of fish. Another time, I left my wristwatch as payment.
Imagine that one dude, that one indigenous guy with a fucking Rolex.
I got a fucking Rolex, baby.
He's like the only pimp, like still wearing his fucking leaf on his cock, and
Could you
he's just
imagine
walking around.
you're canoeing in the Amazon looking for food for like your production?
You get a fucking
That's
Rolex.
insane.
I know. It's so otherworldly. Like,
Right?
You know, there's a dark dimension where that Rolex just causes a chain of murder and theft
Yeah, right?
among these people. Like, I want the shiny watch.
They're literally like a whole tribe that got
like-
wiped out because of it.
It's like Roger's poop.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember one night we paddled out and met at a bend in the river. None of the three of us had managed to find anything. At 4 a.m, we tied our canoes together and drifted downstream and cried.
Damn, that was deep.
That's sad as fuck.
Damn. You know what? The homies, bro.
That's be the homies.
That's-
homies.
But eventually they managed to get funding thanks to Lucky, who was literally knocking on the doors of wealthy Peruvians. Like, that's literally what he had to do. And eventually he was able to kind of like bargain this deal with a guy who was trying to raise money himself for a Carlos Santana concert in Peru.
Bro, how
And
charming is this dude?
I don't know, bro. When you give Germans a goal,
My God.
they will do it.
They'll do anything
They will.
They will
to
literally
make it
They
work.
will do anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Give them a mission, man. They'll get it done.
So they got funding, very small funding, but funding no less. The budget is $380,000, which at the time is kind of a joke for the ambition of the film. But you know, they're in business, as Werner says.
You can buy a lot of fucking bathtubs of fish.
Yeah. So one scene requires hundreds of little monkeys, which Werner had purchased from these Peruvian monkey dealers. But Werner had a gut feeling about the guy selling him the primates, and so he had only paid them half, promising to pay the second half on the day they'd actually get the monkeys. And it turns out he was right about that because those dealers had taken the money, turned around, and sold the monkeys to someone else who was going to take them to Florida.
Bastards.
Fucking bastards.
Fucking Florida.
Upon finding out about this, Werner raced to find the new buyers, and while impersonating a veterinarian, convinced them that the monkeys could not be taken out of the country because they needed vaccinations. This was obviously a lie, but it got Werner the 400 monkeys. Allegedly, it was 400 monkeys. I couldn't find like actual... Because the next part sounds a little fucking outlandish, but you know.
It was just 12 monkeys.
Which he stuffed, because he then stuffed these 400 monkeys into a Jeep and drove back to set.
Yeah,
It was
12.
not 400.
It was-
I can't be 400 monkeys.
It was 12. It was 12 monkeys.
It was like 400 monkeys.
I think maybe at least 100 because that's why like at the end of Aguirre you do see like at least 100 monkeys
CGI.
on a raft. No, God damn it.
It's just a better Marvel movie.
So both Kinski and Werner suffered a couple of monkey bites during filming, but they got what they needed out of them. At the end of the shoot, Werner released the monkeys into the jungle instead of giving them back to those guys.
Damn.
Of course he did.
Fuck yeah. So originally, the script opened with the characters on a glacier, and Kinski, claiming he wanted to be, quote, as close to nature as possible, was so hyped for this part that he packed jackets, crampons, ice axes,
Tampons.
ropes, tents, and down sleeping bags. Like he's going on a fucking hiking trip or
He's
something.
he's going on a boys trip.
Yeah, like...
She's just missing the mushrooms.
So they ended up having to cut that part of the script, which Werner was already telling him, like he had told him several times already before he even got there, but he still came with all his fucking shit. And like, no, we're not going there. So then all of Kinski's gear was useless and the crew had no idea what to do with all of it.
Kinski's an asshole.
Instead, Kinski instructed the crew to set up his tent in a clearing in the jungle, but it ended up pouring rain. And that night, Kinski ended up getting soaking wet.
He had no tarp.
No, and you're in a clearing in the jungle.
Yeah.
You want leaves on top of you.
But didn't you need a tarp?
You need a tarp.
You do need a tarp. So he ends up screaming into the early morning hours over this, making it everyone's problems. According to Werner, he wanted to celebrate nature, yes, but not get wet.
I feel like I would have a fist fight with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Fuck this dude.
You and a lot of people.
It wouldn't take long to put a knee in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the crew then built Kinski a roof out of palm leaves, but on night 2, he got damp because of the condensation coming from his own breath.
Fucking dog water.
So he, again, wakes everybody up in the middle of the night, screaming inarticulately into the, in the middle of the jungle.
I feel like he had an opiate problem.
We don't know.
Every time he wakes up, he just has withdrawals and goes nuts.
So he then turned his anger towards the indigenous extras who the crew had housed in a barn used for drying tobacco leaves. Saxer, the producer guy, Guido, had actually built all of these guys' bunk beds and shit. So they had like a nice ass setup, kind of. Guido the goat.
Guido.
I guess we're just calling him Guido now.
It's
easier.
gotta be Guido.
On night 3, everybody is just about fed up with Kinski's antics that they decide they're going to put him up in a hotel near the set instead. Unfortunately for them, the only hotel that was close was booked. Walter Saxer, however, was able to convince the hotel owner into giving up his own room and slipping into a broom closet for the night.
Jesus.
I thought he was going to build a hotel.
And I bet he still wakes up and he's still ungrateful.
Wait for it.
Yup.
Because Kinski just took his rampage to the hotel. He kept the entire hotel awake with his screaming. And at one point threw his Vietnamese wife down the stairs of this hotel.
He had a Vietnamese wife?
He had a Vietnamese wife with him.
This motherfucker better die by the end of this. He's dying for sure.
Yeah.
Like hit by a car, tragic plane crash, Amazon snake bite. That would be fucking sick. That'd be the perfect way to go out.
While directing Kinski, Herzog had to employ some slight manipulation tactics because Kinski wanted to steer the character. He wanted to steer the performance and ergo the character into a straightforward, bloodthirsty madman. Werner's intentions with Aguirre was to do a slow descent into madness with Aguirre and having him be more unpredictably scary, kind of a silent type.
So like real life.
I mean,
but except very loud. Instead.
making Kinski more like himself, who like doesn't show much emotion, but it's just like kind of like if you watch Aguirre, Kinski is constantly just kind of like death staring people. It's very effective too because he's very good at that.
But in real life, he's a fucking princess.
He's a fucking princess. Yeah.
So he's like the opposite of himself, but the same fucking rage.
Yeah. So to achieve this, Werner would let Kinski go off, kind of provoking him sometimes, and never really attenuating his fits of rage. He would allow this so that Kinski could tire himself out, and only then Herzog would start rolling.
Oh, smart.
So while Kinski was lashing out at the entire cast and crew, Herzog would stay calm and collected, just kind of watch him do his fucking thing, let the child have his tantrum, and then once he was finally like done and shut up, that's when he would shoot.
I would let the child do his tantrum.
That's a powerful psychological trick.
It is.
When he's tuckered out, we would make him play.
The only thing to consider though is that you are letting him off on all your team.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. But I mean, if he shares this game plan with them and then they're all just deadpan looking at him, it's gonna
stupid.
It's gonna be a lot more funny.
It is. And it's actually something that you can see in these films, by the way. Like he does that more than once and you can see it. Like once you know that and you watch Kinski's performance in these films, you can tell like it seems like he's sweaty and shit and he just looks kind of tired out and it's like cuz you can tell that he's just been fucking screaming at people for like hours.
And everyone looks at him with like fucking rage.
Yeah. So there are places in the film that take place on rafts and they shot them as is on actual rafts. So one raft for the cast and one raft for the camera crew. So they're literally both going at the same time. It's pretty fucking cool. They never knew what was coming around the next bend either. They were literally straight like blind sailing. One night, high tide set in on the river and stole both the rafts from the crew. Werner ends up incorporating this into the story because he kind of has no choice.
Yeah, you're not going to find more rafts.
You got to build an entirely new raft for this shit, which they end up having to do. So that's what they make it part of the film.
Guido, we need more rafts.
Guido.
You wake up the next morning, it's fucking a yacht. Where did you get this, Guido? And he's just like sitting there with a fucking cold brew. Like,
I got the job done.
I found it.
I found the raft.
So in one scene, Aguirre and the other men sack one of the indigenous villages. A lot of the pillaging, very much in the style of like Herzog, is improvised. So they are flipping animals and destroying things. One of the extras goes straight for some bananas in this scene, and he starts eating them. These bananas were actually part of the cast and crew's food supply. And remember that they didn't have that much food.
What do you mean? He had a tub full of fish.
Yeah, but that's like not every day, right? So these bananas were like actually part of the cast and crew's food. So when Kinski saw the man eating bananas during the take that were reserved for him and everybody else, Kinski went bananas himself, leaping towards the man. Yeah,
that was a good one. That was a good writing.
Thank you. So he leaped towards the man with the character's sword raised. He brought the sword down on the man's head at full force. Luckily, the extra's helmet absorbed most of the shock from the blow. The injury still caused massive bleeding. So he literally, and this you can see in the movie.
He almost killed someone. Do we have a clip? No, we don't.
No, I can't find a clip on YouTube.
It's copyrighted anyways.
Yeah. So yeah,
I guess we should have done our homework and watched the movie.
Actually, yeah, probably, huh?
It would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway,
we weren't good at school, me and Nick.
So both Herzog and the extras are certain that if he had not been wearing a helmet when he was struck, Kinski would have split his skull and killed him. Werner visited the man 25 years later. The scar still remained on his head.
25 years later.
Yeah, and if that isn't enough, Kinski also spent some of his nights at the camp shooting his Winchester rifle into the jungle because he thought he could ward off jaguars and poisonous snakes that way.
Yo, he was on constant LSD or something.
He was on meth.
This dude is crazy.
One night, Kinski would take things to an entirely different level, though. After wrapping a long shooting day, about 30 or so extras decided to play cards in a hut while drinking some local booze. Their laughs and general sounds of happiness just enraged Kinski, who was trying to get some peace and quiet on a completely separate hillside.
Oh,
He was
this
like,
time,
I got no friends.
The one night he's trying to sleep, everyone's having fun.
Yeah. Kinski took his Winchester rifle and fired directly at the bamboo hut 3 times. Each shot penetrated through the paper-like walls. Everybody huddled in fear together, and one bullet severed a young man's middle finger.
Fuck, dude.
Damn, we can't flip nobody off now.
Werner rushed to the other hillside to wrestle the rifle out of Kinski's hands and confiscated it after this incident.
What a fucking...
That should have been done when he was shooting in the fucking wild. And he beat somebody up with a fucking sword. That should have been number 1
I hope these extras got paid well.
I mean, they got paid better
bananas.
than like normal rates because, you know, indigenous people get hired for labor there too, and they would pay like a better rate than normal, but still not amazing when you compare it to what an actor or somebody from the crew is making.
They got paid in bananas and a sword and a sword fight.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't have info on how much they got paid on a gear. I do have for the other films, but
Each of them got a bathtub of shish.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Yo, that's fucking luxury, bro.
It's a lot.
You come back. You
You can get a Rolex with this.
You come back. You come back with that shit today. That's like $500 right there. Every fish is like $10 here, man.
Some good cod.
And the tension on set would reach its peak on a day where Kinski was throwing one of his usual fits and suddenly started packing his things and loading them into a boat to leave the set. They still had 2 weeks to go and Kinski was threatening to tank the entire thing. This is where Werner finally cracked in a very particular way, the same way his mother had cracked at him and his brother. Werner calmly walked over to Kinski and told him, quote, "We are both working on something that was bigger than the both of us." Sorry, he was relaying this. So he said, quote, "We are both working on something that was bigger than the both of us. And if you get on that boat, I will shoot you."
Nice.
This story would go on to be mythologized and exaggerated to say that Werner pulled a revolver on Kinski and pointed it at his head. Some people will even say that Werner directed Kinski at gunpoint. That's not true. The truth is, Werner walked out empty-handed and threatened to kill Kinski if he left. And Kinski...
He wasn't going to kill him with a gun. He was going to fucking maul him with his bare hands.
and Kinski, knowing full well that Werner still had the Winchester rifle in his hut, took that threat very seriously, because it was very serious.
Good.
In the audio commentary for Aguirre, Werner would say, quote, "I would have shot him. There was no doubt, and the bastard understood it was not a joke. I just outgutted him and was more determined than he was. After that, he behaved for like 10 days. They finished the shoot."
Werner Herzog is my fucking hero.
He put this man in his fucking place.
Homie's my spirit animal.
So after this, Kinski vows never to work with Herzog again. And Werner honors that for a couple of years, going on to make other films in the meantime. But then one night in 1978, at about 1 a.m, Kinski gets a phone call. It's Herzog. And he wants to work with him again on not 1, but 2 films back to back.
Werner, don't do this to yourself.
And Werner really explores this a lot of times. He's like, I think it's just because I'm a masochist that I do this to myself.
He likes pain.
Yeah. The first one of these 2 films they'd work on is a remake of one of Germany's most influential films of all time, Nosferatu. Nosferatu is a German retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Friedrich Wilhelm Murnau in 1922. Originally, they had not been given the rights to do Dracula, so all the names were changed and thus an icon was born from the confusion. Werner's 1979 remake has the advantage that Stoker's book is about to come into the public domain. So he takes advantage of this and restores the original names to all the characters. Most of the production is difficult for Werner as per usual, except this time he's dealing with a lot of bureaucracy instead. He first wanted to shoot the film in Weimar, Germany, where the original had been shot, but that fell through. Then there's scenes he wants to shoot in Transylvania, but the Romanian government refuses because they don't want to link Dracula to Vlad the Impaler, because that's who this Dracula, the character Dracula, is based on originally. And at the time, this is the Ceausescu regime, and so they're trying to like erase that kind of like reputation with Vlad the Impaler, so they refuse to have Werner's film like happen in Romania. So they end up shooting in the Netherlands in a small town called Delft. And Delft is a pain in the ass for Werner. It's already an expensive city to be in, but the people of Delft...
That's a good one because, impaler.
What?
Pain in the ass?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You wrote it. I mean, it was good.
Gong, bitch. Okay, so Delft is a pain in the ass for Werner. It's already an expensive city to be in the first place, but the people of Delft are not very cool with Werner and his mostly German crew of 16 being here. He gets some support.
16.
Yeah, 16 people, which is double the amount of people he had on Aguirre, by the way. His crew on Aguirre was 8 people, and now he's got 16. He's moving up.
It's all just to deal with one guy.
So he gets some support from the local film industry, but the town itself is very suspicious of the crew's intent. In their defense, there is one element that is justifiably concerning for the town. Werner was planning on importing 10,000 Hungarian rats that he planned on releasing in Delft for the movie.
Dude, this guy is single-handedly changing the ecological system in every country.
Yeah, I was just don't do that.
Yeah.
He released fucking monkeys that probably weren't even a part of their fucking country. Just because he needed them on set.
I mean, those monkeys were local.
Were they though?
Yeah, those were local monkeys. They were being taken to San Francisco, but they were local monkeys.
Yeah, but then there's just one fucking tribe of monkeys
these
just
rats,
out there getting fucking ransacked by 400.
We're gonna talk about that
unfed
guy
monkeys.
who did bring diseased monkeys or whatever to Florida. It's the whole thing. Anyway, so a Beverly Walker is hired to be an advisor on the film. But as the production progresses, she ends up being in front of the camera as well. She ends up playing a part in the film. This was kind of like Werner's treats to people who helped him out. He's like, I'm gonna put you in the movie. Yeah, he does these deals. In 1978, she wrote about her experience for Sight and Sound magazine. So this is from that article. Herzog, who often displays a kind of naive candor, told the Dutch press his reasons for selecting Delft. Quote, it's so well ordered, so neat and beautiful, so bourgeois. I don't mean that in disrespectful terms, for bourgeois culture has made some great achievements. But just because it's so well organized, it's interesting for me as a filmmaker to show the disintegration of order, the collapse of public morale. So not the best thing to say.
What does bourgeois mean?
Bourgeois, like fancy.
Oh.
Rich.
Uppity. He gets
Hipster.
that one.
Yeah.
Gentrified.
Let's go.
Yeah. So he comes to tell this town, why do you want to film here and why do you want to bring a bunch of rats in? He's like, well, I just think I just like how it's so neat and clean, and I kind of just want to show the destruction of that in my film. Not the best thing to say. To the Dutch press.
But admit that he's really seen a shit ton of rats.
Yeah. He was equally candid about the necessity of filming with rats, the creature which was to become his bête noire.
Which means black beast.
That means black beast, yeah. So, quote, my
Fancy
film is...
translations.
Quote, my film is about a community invaded by fear, by an anonymous terror that can hardly be named. The rats are a decisive element because they signify this invasion of fear. I asked this town with all my heart to allow me to make a few shots in controllable areas with the rats. But the city would turn its back on Werner Herzog. The picture of a large rat accompanied the Dutch newspaper's bold headline, quote, the plague has come to Delft. And the accompanying article clarified the hateful metaphor.
They weren't wrong to be fearful of that.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
You didn't have rats before, but then this one dude wants to completely invade your guys' house.
Definitely.
And the rats are gonna get out.
Yeah, there's no way you can control rats.
So yeah, this is a little this is a little one where it does make sense, but it does escalate to points that it doesn't have to. So Werner Herzog, so this article goes on to continue. Werner Herzog, his young and predominantly German team, and 10,000 white rodents from a Hungarian laboratory had dared enter Delft to make a movie. The newspaper headline had the effect of a battle cry. Lines of resistance went up almost overnight. Channels of communication were suspended. The Netherlands is renowned for its hospitality and devotion to democratic principles, and Herzog had not anticipated such resistance. True, the local officials had always hedged about the rats, but Herzog was confident he could bring them round, and why not? To a man who has braved the jungles of Peru, the Sahara, a churning volcano, Delft looked like child's play. The effort was exhaustive, but largely unrewarded. An incident on the first day's shooting proved important. A small graveyard Herzog had himself created on a sand dune the night before was by 6 o'clock that morning destroyed. The word Führer rang out more than once, so people were just kind of...
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, too soon, man.
Too soon. And Delft's mayor never gave an inch. A safety deposit of $100,000 was demanded, and the company was further taxed just to film the streets. Extremely limited amounts of time were set for all exterior locations, and permission to film the rats was never given. The company was besieged by Dutch journalists and photographers. A day never passed without an article appearing about the film, always focusing on the rodent. The fear and paranoia of the citizenry mounted in the same way as in the film. Through innuendo and rumor, a slow panic set in.
That's like free, like a free ad campaign for real for your movie. Like
This is only like...
they're just like nonstop promoting it.
This is only like 35 years. It's just 80, right? 1980s?
79. It's just like 78.
So it's 35 years after, World War II.
Yeah.
It's pretty fresh in people's memory.
Yeah.
They're pretty damn fresh.
It's funny. It actually reoccurs a lot how often they just bring up Germans, like Germans past whenever Werner like arrives somewhere with his crew.
I mean, fuck, they still do it today
For sure.
any German crew goes anywhere.
While all this was going on, Herzog continued making the film, altering his needs as necessary. When Kinski returned a few days late because no one had informed him of the schedule, Herzog shot something else. When Bruno Ganz was badly bruised falling off a horse, he shot with a double. If it rained, he huddled everyone into vans and said, "We wait for the sun." And when it was so bitterly cold that everyone was nearly paralyzed, he stripped to the waist and kept filming.
Gangster.
Gangster as fuck.
He's like, you're cold, I'm colder. Fuck
I'm
off.
going to be colder, yeah.
This is a leader. Like he's textbook leader. He's basically he's Hannibal.
He's like setting the example for the rest.
This man would trek the Alps to get to Rome.
I feel like he's the
And I
type
would
of
follow
guy.
him.
He's the type of guy that his crew would be like, "Sir, I'm cold," and then he's like, "You're cold," and you look at his hands and it's all frostbite, and he's just like, "But I'm still here,"
On that Alps note, by the way, there wasn't any place for this in my script, unfortunately. But yeah, Werner got caught in an avalanche once. Just letting you know that.
Just casually.
Spent a couple of days in the
It's
snow.
another,
Yeah.
it's another fucking check on that checklist, bro.
Yeah. Just,
all the ways to avoid death and all the things you want to do.
Anyway, so this would lead one of the production companies to completely withdraw from the project. And as the filming goes on, there starts being this scandal regarding animal cruelty on the behalf of Herzog's team. Referencing the Animal Humane episode again. Hitting us with the aha. So, truthfully, Werner does not have a great track record with animal safety on set. There's a couple of instances on Aguirre where animals get hit on camera, and there's one scene where Kinski manhandles a little monkey before throwing him. So, yeah, he doesn't have a good record with that shit, And
I mean,
some of it gets filmed.
How we talk shit about chickens, that let you know everything about them.
Yeah. And on Nosferatu, there was a requirement that the rats be gray instead of white, and all the 10,000 rats that they had brought were white. So Werner insisted that they be dyed gray. And in order to dye them gray, they had to be submerged in boiling water for a couple of seconds. And this process killed some of the rats. This is what is reported by a Dutch biologist hired by Herzog. And there is no account that says otherwise, so that part is on him.
There was an easier way to do that, for
Boiling
sure.
for a couple seconds.
It's pretty fucked up.
That is fucking
Was he
insane.
shooting? He was shooting color, right? Of course.
Yes.
Okay. Like, just put them, just fucking, if they're white rats, just roll them in fucking coal. You don't have to boil the rats to death.
I don't know.
You know what though? If whatever you gotta do to make a good movie, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, according to the biologist, the rats licked the dye off of each other. So it kind of
rats
didn't work.
Are pretty clean.
I guess so. But there is a second allegation that is not quite fair, only because it only has half the context. And this you find on a bunch of IMDb pages and shit like that. But it's as production cycles on, the Dutch press starts reporting that the rats were also being malnourished and neglected by the crew to the point that they started eating each other. Yes, some rats did start to eat each other out of hunger, but there's another element to this story. So this is from Beverly Walker's Sight and Sound article. It all culminated in a violent scene 3 days before the completion of filming in Delft. The 10,000 rats had been stored in a barn outside of the town where they were cared for by two young women biologists. But the farmer who owned the barn had not been feeding them properly, and they were dying. When the girls reproached him, he kicked them off the farm and then refused to allow the production access to the animals. This at exactly the time Werner had finally found a means of filming them. Herzog, accompanied by a few members of his team and the two women, went to retrieve them. They were met head-on by the farmer and a dozen workmen wielding all manner of farming tools as weapons. A large van was placed horizontally in the driveway to block their exit, and a truly nightmarish fight followed. Windscreens were smashed, cars were damaged, everyone was badly beaten, scratched, and bruised. Herzog himself was almost killed when a workman drove a huge crane straight at him.
Fuck.
They literally got in a whole fucking brawl
Dude, he got in a whole war, bro.
for these rats. And by the way, Guido's there with him.
Guido's the goat.
I bet he knocked out a bunch of farmers.
Guido probably slit some throats.
Guido's the type of guy like you get
Walter Saxer,
you
man.
get swung out at a club. This guy already knocked the fucking guy out. You know what I mean? Guido's that reliable.
Yeah. You guys, you're going to see a clip where you see Guido later. He's thin German dude with a mustache, but he just, I don't know.
He always comes through.
He got that vibe.
He always come through.
It's the skinny Germans, man. They hit hard.
He's good old reliable, man.
This is a big factor in that shit. The reason these rats were malnourished and started eating each other is because the fucking farmers just kicked them out.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's
his
so
fault.
weird though. Like, you got hired like to take care of these rats, and then you're like, fuck your rats.
Fuck your rat. It's just the whole town was like, fuck these guys. Fuck this German film crew. We don't want them here.
Yeah.
That's why I would go as far as to even say that, like, you know, you can't fully take that report of the dying of the rats, like, seriously, because it's by the biologist who also was from the town.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's
The thing is, like, the only reason why I say that one's on him is because there is no, like, they don't deny it either. So it might have actually happened.
Well, they don't got time. They just found location to shoot the rats. Now they just went to a whole
I don't know.
war.
Like
I really think they're gonna take the time to go see a fucking journalist and say, yeah, well, you know, the rats are not really dead. Like, you know, and he's got a black eye, a broke rib.
well,
Guido's
also,
over there repairing him.
I refuse to believe that Werner Herzog gives a shit about the rats.
That's true.
I really don't think he cares. About
I
it,
agree.
honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because like they also slaughtered a pig for this movie. So you know, I think
He's not concerned.
He's not that concerned, no. So they were able to get the rats in the end. They released them into isolated parts of the city where every possible crevice they could sneak into was sealed. At the end of the shoot, all 10,000 rats were accounted for. So they fucking did it. On top of all, because the rats were also like, they were spayed and neutered too. So like, you know, there was no way of them reproducing either. But
Oh, okay. That was good.
But it's interesting because
Good
they literally
foresight.
just set like little spots, isolated spots of the city, plugged up every little hole that these rats could sneak into, and did it. And it's awesome. Like when you see this movie, it's fucking awesome. You just see a shit ton of rats. At the end of the shoot, all 10,000 rats were accounted for. They moved on to film the rest in Czechoslovakia. Well, I can't. Czechoslovakia, where bruises and cuts could heal. And throughout this production, Kinski is kind of on good behavior. He has a couple of fits like he usually does, which were facilitated by Werner in order to continue that manipulative style of directing. But, you know, for each shooting day, he had to spend 4 to 5 hours in a makeup chair, and he takes it in stride. He's actually buddies with his makeup artist, which is surprising because he actually has a reputation for making makeup artists cry normally.
But was that one cute?
Yes, she's like a cute young Japanese makeup artist. I don't have her name, but she's
There we go.
But
he's become, and also this movie stars like Isabella Gianni, who is goddamn beautiful. So I think that's the trick to Kinski. Surround them with pretty women. Like,
all of a sudden, he's a nice guy.
yeah, kind of. He doesn't like to show it. Like it was the same on the other film set where everybody wanted to kill him. You know, he had to bring in the pretty girl for extra days for that shit. He also completely understands the importance of the makeup. You know, he says, you know, it's 4 to 5 hours. It sucks, but that's what you need to do to transform the character. So he has these interesting ideas where like he does really respect the craft in that sort of way. Even on Aguirre, he designs his own costume. And he's always had like a talent for designing costumes and stuff like that. So Werner just lets him do it. And he has a really cool concept for Aguirre where he thinks up that Aguirre should wear like a bunch of leather straps because the way he presents them physically is as if he didn't have these straps, Aguirre would fall apart. It's a very cool like metaphor that he comes up with, which is kind of interesting, and he plays it into his performance. You know, 5 days after Nosferatu wraps filming, Herzog takes the same exhausted crew and exhausted Kinski and starts shooting his next film, Wojciech immediately.
Immediately.
Like 5 days after.
Holy shit.
Yeah, in Czechoslovakia. Like they just start right there. He takes advantage of the fact that Kinski is worn out from the heaviness of playing Dracula and having to wear makeup constantly to get a subdued performance from him. And this one is a drama based on a play, so there isn't much room for trouble. All goes smooth sailing and they finish the film in 18 days. So they just work for 18 days straight.
Nice. And these are like film cameras at this point, right?
Yeah.
So you have to process the film and
Yep.
everything and edit like that.
Yeah. And fun fact too, the Aguirre was shot on that 35 millimeter camera that he had stolen from the University of Munich.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nice. So you know what?
That shit makes a comeback.
He's not ashamed of what he did.
No, he's not ashamed. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I earned the right to this camera.
It's probably even in the credits just because he's that kind of guy. Where
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I did it.
Stolen camera.
And all the while through the production of Wojciech, Kinski is incredibly caring and a generous partner to his co-star Eva Matis, another beautiful young lady.
Yeah.
And I think this might be the trick to him, is to have beautiful young women around him to keep the beast at bay. On Aguirre, he's an asshole to everyone except Cecilia Rivera, who plays his daughter, even though he would later go on to write about her in his autobiography, saying, quote, "There isn't a single person who isn't exhausted to death or sick or both. But my daughter in the film, a 16-year-old blonde Peruvian, was fucked by almost everyone, I think."
Okay.
This is fucking weird dickhead behavior.
Yeah.
So he's saying that everybody on set fucked her?
He was super nice to her. And then in his biography years later, writes like she was a fucking whore.
Jesus.
Yeah, like weird as shit. Wojciech is released, and Kinski reportedly, like the only story I really have here is Kinski reportedly runs into a poster of the film, and it says in big letters, "Herzog's latest masterpiece." This pisses him off because the title, that caption, is bigger than his name on the bill, which is in his contract. His name needs to be the biggest thing on the bill, aside from the film title.
Damn.
So this pisses him off to the point that he rips the poster off the wall and shreds it in public.
Yeah.
The next time Kinski and Herzog collaborate would be on the film Werner Herzog is most known for, his very own Moby Dick, Fitzcarraldo, a film notorious for having the most difficult production in history.
Yo.
We have listeners in Ireland now too, Greece, yeah, India. Little international. God damn it.
And you're the only
God
reason they listen too.
For John's inclusion of all the races.
Cheers to you, brothers. My West Island brethren.
All right, let's get it. Seemingly unsatisfied with the last ass kicking the Amazon gave him, Werner Herzog's magnum opus Fitzcarraldo would have him balls deep in a green inferno once more.
Nice.
The film is based on a real-life rubber baron named Carlos Fitzcarrald, but Werner took liberties with that story. In real life, Fitzcarrald brings a 30-ton steamship from one river to another through the jungle. He achieves this through slave labor, getting the indigenous people to disassemble the ship and reassemble it later on the other river.
Werner didn't do that. Right?
No.
Whoa, that was very suspicious. No, John.
Don't worry about it. Because this is Werner Herzog we're talking about.
Little monkeys.
He's an angel.
It's just little monkeys.
This is kind of fucked up because actually Werner does this on steroids. Yeah, we're going to get into it. So Herzog's Fitzcarraldo is a mad rubber baron who has an obsession with opening an opera house in the Peruvian jungle. Similarly, Fitzcarraldo has to transport a...
What a fucking wild place for an opera.
It's fucking cool, though. It's kind of like... I like the vibes of it, you know?
The vibe is cool, but who's showing up?
Yeah, like
People don't show up to the opera in Montreal.
God damn it. It's dying, but you know. Well, maybe make it less expensive.
I'll put in a fucking Peruvian
I'm just
jungle.
saying.
I gotta
Put it
take
in a Peruvian jungle.
I gotta take a plane to the Peruvian jungle to see my opera.
You know, monkey steals your wallet. God damn it.
It's the tax.
But yeah, so Herzog's Fitzcarraldo wants to open an opera house in the Peruvian jungle. And similarly, Fitzcarraldo, the character, has to transport a steamship through the Amazon jungle. Except Herzog's steamboat is not 30 tons, it is 380 tons.
Nice.
So way fucking bigger.
Damn, that's a ton of shit.
Fitzcarraldo does this by literally plowing through the jungle and dragging the entire steamboat with the help of the natives with ropes and pulleys.
He should just contact the ancient aliens
Yeah, that's how they helped build everything there too. Yeah,
That's how they did Noah's Ark too.
that's Machu Picchu. So this is a feat that Werner actually pulls off for the film. And at this point, like, Werner has some street cred. He like, you know, he's made a couple of movies.
Oh shit, he got shot. No.
He hasn't gotten shot yet. He's been shot at. So he has some street cred at this point. You know, like, originally he had the opportunity to make this film in a nice, comfy setting. 21st Century Fox originally was involved with the project, and Jack Nicholson was going to star as Fitzcarraldo originally.
Oh, that would have been nice.
But he was like, this is too mainstream and I would be too easy.
Well, that's kind of the deal, because what that entailed was that the project would have to be filmed in the botanical gardens of San Francisco instead of the jungle.
Nah, that doesn't have a ring to it.
Doesn't fit the vibe. This mainly being because Jack Nicholson wants to stay close because he's a Lakers fan. So he wants to watch basketball.
He doesn't want to miss a single game.
Yeah, there's this one story of Werner Herzog coming over to Jack Nicholson's place, and they watch a movie together, and like Herzog passes out during the movie. And they're watching this in Jack Nicholson's bedroom, so they're like on a bed while Jack Nicholson's there with like his girl of the evening. And, you know, Herzog wakes up in the middle of the credits, and Jack Nicholson's like, you know, you should get the fuck out of here. I'm about to bang this girl. Just a random story there for you.
But why San Francisco? The Lakers are in LA.
I no, but the botanical gardens are there, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah. When Werner insists on shooting in the real jungle, they back out, and Werner was on his own.
That's hilarious. He just like doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Which also is like, he kind of fucks on the opportunity to have this be seen by a lot more people.
Yeah, but
like
at
having Jack
the
Nicholson.
same time, it would have taken away the charm that the one that got popular had.
Yeah.
Where it was like the backstory is kind of what made it where it's at. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Originally, an actor named Jason Robards was cast in the lead role, with the Rolling Stones' Mick Jagger playing his sidekick.
Whoa.
A character that Werner describes himself as retarded. Fitzcarraldo had a retarded sidekick in the original script.
So me.
Not my words, Werner's. And Werner was set on returning to the same place he had once shot Aguirre in, which meant they had to do the same shtick all over again, building an entire little town native style for the cast and crew. But Werner would soon find out that he was coming back to a different Peru, a much less friendly Peru. See, because at this point in 1979, Peru was in the middle of a border war with Ecuador. There was conflict all over the first area they chose to settle in. Local native tribes are in disagreement with each other, while Ecuadorian troops are creeping into the territories, and Peruvian lumber and oil companies are also taking advantage of the distractions to ravage the land.
So he pretty much just went back to being a humanitarian.
Dude, I straight up, I'm working with a guy that literally lives here because of that conflict from Peru.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Yeah,
Fun fact.
It's interesting.
Shit happens, and people have to immigrate.
Amazing.
Sucks. I mean, there's a reason I'm a Guatemalan living in Canada.
Shit went south.
Bananas. We'll have an episode on bananas at some point.
Just strictly bananas.
Sponsored by Chiquita Banana. So both are plowing through thousands. So both these, the oil and lumber industry are plowing through thousands of miles of forest monthly. So despite Herzog paying $3.50 a day to the indigenous extras, which is much higher than their normal rate at the time, he pays this much, like $3.50 a day for the indigenous workers and extras.
Every day?
Yeah.
Per person?
Per person.
Okay, that's like taking the bus.
Taking the bus in 2024, yes, but like...
Yeah.
So a council of tribes known as the Aguarunas annexed Werner and his crew despite all of this. And the reason why is because originally Werner makes a deal with the Aguarunas to film in their area and whatever, but he doesn't tell them that he has to build basically a mini town for his film crew. And so allegedly what happens is they get pissed off about this, and this is alleged, by the way. Werner gets scared and goes to the Peruvian militia for protection, which this pisses off the Aguarunas, and they burn down his little town that he built. Yeah.
Another, like, an easy, fair deal is once we're done, you have this town.
You get a free little town.
They don't want the town.
Fuck this town. Yeah.
I mean, they might have to protect it from fucking, like, guns and shit, but, like...
So the Agarunas are justifiably wary of working with foreigners at this point because, like the fucking oil companies are coming in, deal with Ecuador right now. So anybody around in this area right now is very suspicious to them.
Because they build a small town, before you know it, there's fucking people living there cutting down all your trees.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
digging holes in your ground.
They also kind of unjustly start a crusade against the Fitzcarraldo crew, though. Werner's film required actually digging a canal between two river communities, which was met with hostility by the Agarunas, who spread rumors of Werner and his crew coming for the natives with intentions to kill them, steal their fat, and rape their women.
Steal their fat.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
I don't know whether to steal
Like he
their fat.
basically accuses them of being cannibals or some shit.
We're all
Like,
trying to lose fat. I mean,
goddamn.
let alone fucking take it. Jesus.
Have you ever cooked a meal with the fat of Peruvian boys? That is very good. I think it's the best Werner I've ever done.
It's that one guy's impression.
That was actually very good.
That one guy's impression you listened to on the break. That really gave you.
I have enjoyed suckling the penises
Whoa.
of little Peruvian boys.
But him doing that,
Sorry, that was Jeffrey Dahmer, Werner Herzog.
him doing that like little canal is like, is this boy just like opening like a flank, bro? Like,
Yeah, it's again justifiably suspicious.
yeah,
Like,
very. Suspicious.
what are you doing?
like
Nothing.
A whole lot of work for like what, dude? Like, are you just like opening like new ways to get fucking flanked and destroyed?
Yeah, and the Peruvian press joins in on this too. They start making claims that Werner's crew is smuggling weapons to the Ecuadorian opposition, alongside rumors of them also destroying fields, like burning fields down and shit like that. So what's even worse is that at some point, some random ass Germans come with photos of concentration camps, showing them to other natives and claiming that it's Herzog's fault that the tribes in those pictures were wiped out.
Talk about the Nazis.
Okay.
Yeah, like they came with pictures of like concentration camp, like bodies in concentration camps, and start spreading these around the villages, saying that's what Werner's crew is going to do to
But
them.
why? Like these guys just hate Werner.
Like they're trying to do like
Yeah.
reverse psychology.
They might be some sort of, they might be activists, possibly just trying to get Werner kicked out.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
I thought it
because
was-
like Werner is kind of controversial in that way. He does get like accused of, exploiting natives and stuff like that.
Well, he is exploiting natives.
He is.
But at that time, everyone exploited natives. No, but it's funny because it's at this point in time where like this is at a time where hating native tribes was very normal. Like even in North America, you drive by like a reserve and like throw rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
This is a normal behavior at the time.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
like
fucked up, but yeah.
And Werner didn't like approach this with hatred. I think he just it's a neglect.
He
It was
saw it as a
convenient for
cheap
him.
way to record.
Yeah. But like he also does this because like he has this point where he describes like what he wants to do is like he doesn't want to make documentaries about these people. He wants to stylize them. He wants to give them like he wants to turn them into art in a sort of way. He wants to depict their culture and like artistically and not just it be like some ethno documentary, whatever.
He wants to make them cool again.
Yeah, in that sort of way. He wants to stylize them. So that's kind of a part of his deal. So the tensions get so bad that the tribes helping Herzog start getting death threats and accusations of treason. Spooked, Herzog's crew gradually started moving out of the area, but not fast enough. One night, half of the remaining crew was woken up by bow and arrows and guns pointed at them. A very loud and clear, "You're no longer welcome here."
That's a really fucking like wild mix. They pull up with like bows and arrows. There's like two guys with AKs, and they're just like,
Listen,
why the bows? Why the bows?
Well, they didn't have enough guns.
Yeah,
Literally.
Just two guns.
these Germans are shifty.
They don't got no guns.
So the crew ends up relocating deeper into the jungle, but further away from the conflict. But then Jason Robards, the lead actor with whom they've shot a significant portion of the film already, gets dysentery, and it nearly kills him.
Good times.
Nice.
So he is flown back to where his
The good old days, right, guys?
yeah. So Robards is flown back home, where his doctor forbids him from going back to that set. So Werner is forced to recast Robards, and then he has to reshoot everything they've shot
entire
so
movie.
far. And this ends up complicating things with Mick Jagger because he can't fit reshoots into his schedule. He's about to go on tour. So Werner is forced to cut his only star power, really, Mick Jagger, from the film too. A decision that puts the film's funding in jeopardy because basically like the thing that was going to sell your movie now is gone.
I have an American rock star
Yeah.
with me.
So Werner has to fly back to Germany and beg his backers not to scrap the project. Quote, when I returned to Germany to try and hold all the investors in the film together, they asked me, how can you continue? Herzog would recall. Do you have the strength and the will and the enthusiasm? And I said, how can you ask this question? If I abandon this project, I will be a man without dreams, and I do not want to live like that. I live my life or I end my life with this project.
Yo.
Ooh. That's like that one I'll eat a shoe moment. But except he's saying I'm gonna take a bullet, dog.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna eat a bullet this time.
He's got to make another one of those outlandish like promises to
Right?
get in there.
Let's say I'm a Kurt Cobain myself.
God damn it. So Herzog
I had to, my bad.
Herzog was allowed to continue, but recasting was a big issue. He could not see anybody else in Mick Jagger's role, so he ended up cutting the character from the film entirely. But then there was Fitzcarraldo. Who would play him? It nearly got to the point where Herzog himself nearly played him. Alas, Herzog found himself calling in a favor from an old friend,
Oh no.
Klaus Kinski.
Is this the 5th movie?
This is the 4th movie.
Oh my god.
But like looking at it, like Mick Jagger has a very weird look to
Well,
put him as
I
that
think-
character.
Yo, but not he's not the main character. He's the sidekick.
Oh,
The
okay.
retarded
he-
sidekick.
He's not the one that.
Yes, the quote unquote retired sidekick.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah. So he cuts Mick Jagger's character out, but the main character has to be replaced.
I can see him as a retard.
God, can you stop?
Stop saying the word retard.
God damn it, guys.
You're the one who said it.
Well, Werner said it. I'm just quoting him.
Yeah, I'm quoting
He
him
says
too.
quote unquote, but we're just straight up quoting it.
All right.
Yeah, we're just straight up making statements out here.
Sure. So yeah, originally Herzog did not want to cast Kinski in the role because he knew that being trapped in the jungle would make him go insane.
Retarded.
And he was right about it. Can you stop?
Make him go retarded.
It's cancelable offenses.
That's fine.
And his crew is also like they know who Kinski is. They've worked with Kinski before.
Oh,
They're like, how the fuck?
They
How dare you do this to us?
they
again?
say the word and immediately the PTSD starts.
The
kicking in.
PTSD kicks in for all of them.
They
So
hear
fast.
just the kink and they're like, no.
No. They're like, guys, like imagine the meeting they had to have. Like, so I came up with a pretty interesting idea, guys. So what about Kin? And then they're like, shut the fuck up.
Get the fuck out of here.
I want double my fucking pay, goddammit.
Immediately it goes to $7.
I'll give you my like. He walks up to one of the guys like, here, I'll give you my shoes if you shoot that guy right now.
Everybody immediately went to go see the Peruvians and said, "Where's your AK again?"
Production and thus the madness resumed. Werner claims to have been instructed by a local priest to make prostitutes part of his crew so that the men would not go insane in the jungle. A decision that actually would prove to be useful later.
Because they all got AIDS, and then they got bigger fish to fry.
No, but it's literally just because like a lot of these guys are like, they work in the lumber industry and shit like that, you know. So this priest is just trying to evade more any like conflict because there's still tribes around,
Yeah.
you know. So they're trying to evade any kinds of beefs like that, you know.
Keep the boys occupied.
Keep the boys occupied.
Let me just say, like, prostitutes very underrated.
Very important part. of
Sex
society.
work, very important.
especially Nam. Like, oh my god,
Sex work is work.
Nam and prostitutes saved the day, bro. They were the only.
Yeah. We'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
So, despite being further from intertribal war, that didn't put them entirely out of the radar. One night, a neighboring tribe executed a raid on the film camp. In the process, one man was shot in the neck with an arrow, and a woman was shot in the stomach and the hip.
Did they die?
No.
Well, that was Kinski.
Imagine getting shot in the neck and you're like, arrows keep going.
It's almost cartoonish too. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
arrow through the neck thing.
Right through the fucking neck.
So Werner was one of the people there. He held a torchlight while they operated on the abdominal cavity of the woman. And with the other hand, he was spraying mosquito repellent because bugs were trying to get into her woons.
My bad, dog.
Imagine some of it like going into the wound as she's like getting operated on.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're just going to have to stuff that one back in.
Let me pass this up.
So when the tribe Werner was with offered to retaliate, Werner decided against it. He didn't want any more beef. Many of the
He's like, they good shooters. They got shooters on their team.
yeah, exactly. Many of the native laborers are injured during the process of filming. One of the particularly bad cases is of a logger who gets bitten in the foot by a venomous snake and resorts to amputating his own foot with his chainsaw.
It's like Kinski.
Oh my god.
It's not Kinski.
Fuck. That would have been like a perfect foreshadowment.
I know, right?
I literally said, I hope he goes in the fucking jungle and gets fucking bitten by a
I
venomous
feel like
snake.
Kinski's gonna get his. I just got this vibe.
He's gonna get his. He's gonna get fucking impaled.
So yeah, this guy fucking chainsaws his own leg off. His own foot off, my
That's
bad.
some
Yeah.
Saw shit.
Because
right
he knows it's either that or death.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got 10 minutes.
That's some Dr. Phil and Saw shit.
Yeah, and it like he's got 10 minutes and the camp was like 30 minutes away, so that's why he did that.
Oh.
Yeah. So some deaths occur on set as well due to disease, malaria basically.
The $3 a day.
And
So that fucking adds up.
and the crew never got deaded.
I don't think so. There's no reports of it anyways.
The crew gets treated very well.
Yeah.
The extras not so much.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So in one instance, a quote young Highland Indian, sorry, but that's how he's described in the reports, takes a canoe without permission and ends up drowning. Not totally Werner's fault, but this raises tensions.
That's like one.
Whoa, how are you gonna know the guy's gonna steal your fucking canoe and drown and he doesn't know how to swim?
That's like one dipshit. He's like, I do this all the time.
God damn it.
He goes in a fucking pond and he fucking dips over.
Oh shit, how do I flip over?
Hold my beer. I just like
Rest in peace. I'm sorry.
Rest in peace, my bad dog.
We're normally good people.
Never actually.
when
What?
someone accidentally kills themselves, it's like, what are we gonna do, huh?
Yeah, it's comedic.
So the boat scenes are the most intense to shoot. Everything was done without special effects. They used 3 different boats. It was one real functional steamboat along with 2 replicas. In the film, you see natives carry the boat up hills with a rope and pulley system, but outside the frame, there'd be a caterpillar assisting the pole by forming the path, you know? It's a big fucking tractor, truck, whatever that thing is.
I thought you meant like a literal caterpillar.
No.
I'm like,
God
yo,
damn it.
I'm like, that's one big ass caterpillar.
Giant caterpillars.
Fucking
going through.
Mongo. There are scenes where the boat is on the river mowing through raging rapids. These scenes are legitimate. The boat is actually being slapped left and right by raging river tides. It was so bad that Kinski had to be lashed to the ship's helm because they were scared he'd be flung off the ship, which wouldn't have been that bad. But you know,
That would have
been pretty good.
That would have been a sick way to go out.
It would have sucked for his movie, but like, fuck Kinski.
So this is from the autobiography on what happened to the director of photography, the DP, Thomas Mouch. For this scene, right, Thomas, the DP, is holding the camera in his hands. They're going through the boat as it's rocking through rapids and it's being fucking swung left and right. Werner is standing behind Thomas because if something goes wrong, Thomas has nothing to grab onto. He gets flung off the boat. So Werner's there just to catch Thomas in case that happens. And Kinski has to run around the ship while this is like crashing. So it's a very intense scene to shoot, which I'm going to show you guys a clip of. So just 2 days later, we filmed the unmanned ship, one of the 2 identical twins being hurled through the rapids of the Pongo de Manique. It bounced off the rocks on either side with such a force that I saw the lens flying out of the camera. I tried to hold on to Thomas Mouch, the cameraman, but we went flying after the lens, and he struck the deck, the heavy camera still in his hands. The force of the collision split the webbing between his last 2 fingers deep into the palm of his hand. He too was stitched up by our gifted indigenous assistant paramedic, who was extraordinarily deft with dislocations and stitching up wounds.
I thought that was gonna be Guido again.
No.
I was gonna be what a go.
Guido's
He's a
here,
medic.
but not yet.
Guido's
He's a
a doctor as
paramedic
well.
too.
So and
Paramedic, mechanic, handyman, good looking fella.
this doctor had also once like put Mouch's dislocated shoulder back like afterwards, but because like all the anesthetics had been used up in the hour-long operations on the arrow victims and they couldn't be replaced, Mouch suffered great pains. He was basically being operated without anesthetic. I held his arms, but that didn't help much. Finally, I called in one of the 2 working girls, one of the prostitutes we had employed, Carmen, who squeezed his head between her breasts and talked to him softly. She did it lovingly, magnanimously, and heroically.
God bless prostitution. Can I just say, I just want to just shout out to sex workers everywhere. You guys are God bless, God send.
Fucking
Love you.
crazy.
You guys save a lot of crazy people from the world.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show you guys that boat scene where you see a bit of that crashing shit.
Oh, that's actually a big ship.
Are all his movies in German?
No, but there's translations. So this is the behind the scenes. Kinski's arguing with Werner. So the boat is legit just rolling. They have no idea where it's going to. And that's Thomas's hand afterwards.
Where's the lady?
Where's the breastises?
I don't know. It's not there at this point.
I mean, he wanted her on his dick.
I just wanted his breasts, man.
I just wanted these breasts on my face. That's why I kept screaming. I had the idea myself.
He just sliced his hand open on purpose.
He's like, what would I want if my hand was split open with no Hennessy?
Titties.
So after this, Thomas is pissed with Werner for like the rest of the shoot, pretty much.
Why? He saved him.
Yeah, but still, just fucks up his hand.
He put him in a really shitty situation.
Yeah, basically.
That is very true.
So yeah, so tensions keep rising more and more.
Because let's just be honest, like Werner Herzog puts these people in terrible situations.
Yeah, because there's the thing of like, yeah, Werner Herzog himself is kind of a masochist. He puts himself like through a ringer for his films, but he brings a lot of people along with him.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem too. Is like he crawls back to Kinski because somehow he likes getting this sort of treatment and shit like that. But what he doesn't realize is that a lot of the times everybody else around him is affected by that.
I think he just likes the psychological challenges of everything. That's what he brings. Like he brings up. It seems like it brings to mind is like he likes the mental challenge of being able to like manipulate those kind of people.
I think he loves chaos.
Yeah.
He loves the adrenaline of everything.
But I'm just saying, 2 ropes and that guy wouldn't have fell. Just saying.
All right, we'll take your word for it. So this here is from basically just the IMDb trivia, so take it with a grain of salt. But quote, close to 1,000 indigenous extras were housed in barrack-like conditions. The majority had moved hundreds of miles from their homes, families, and most importantly, their gardens. The food was appalling. Medical supplies were limited. There weren't enough women to produce chicha de yuca, which is beer for them, an indigenous staple. The only available diversion was soccer until the ball burst.
What had one ball?
They had one ball and it burst.
Fuck.
I don't know how do you burst a soccer ball? Just kick it hard enough?
The German psychopath fucking
Or a
murdered.
fucking bow and arrow.
Yeah, maybe. The fucking neighboring tribe like, haha, we took your fun.
What is that demon ball, dude?
You can't play your demon ball anymore. So tensions increased when one extra died of malaria. Some extras worked for 6 months for an official pay rate of about $2 per day. They didn't know that filming would run twice as long as Werner Herzog estimated, or that they would spend most of their time clearing forest slopes and trying to haul a 365-ton ship, 10 times bigger than the original, up a 40-degree incline.
Oh,
Okay, that's borderline
that's pretty
slave
tough,
labor.
man.
It's pretty fucking tough, yeah. Everyone is talking about cutting out at this point. Keep in mind that echoing daily throughout this jungle were the screams of Klaus Kinski. While Werner was still employing the tactic of setting Kinski off and filming him when he was calm, it was starting to get to everybody on set. One of the people who would get the brunt of Kinski's ravings was Walter Saxer, the producer on
you
set.
now want to fuck with him.
So here is a clip. It's in German, but I'm just going to play a little clip to give you an idea of the beef. This is where you'll finally see Walter Saxer. But Walter Saxer is getting fucking yelled at and basically calling Kinski a baby and shit.
It's Guido.
Whatever. Guido.
Let's go, Guido.
Schrei ich oder schrei ich nicht?
Turn it.
Und du sagst es mir nicht, aber ich schrei aber nicht. Leg mich doch am Arsch weg. Der Moment ist überhaupt gekommen, wo ich dir in die Fresse
So
haue.
that's Walter Saxer.
Diesmal schlag ich dir in die Fresse, Lauf, hast du dich verlassen, du. Diesmal sitzt in dem Kostüm in deiner scheiß Karre in Holland.
So everybody's just watching this shit.
Grafen.
Like Werner's just there setting up his camera and letting this shit just happen. But yeah, and a lot of the days roll on like that. Kinski just fucking screaming in front of everybody.
He loves the attention more than anything, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's kind of an attention whore in that sense. This starts getting to everybody on set, like to the point where like all the like natives are getting scared. Basically, like Kinski kind of puts them all on edge. And at one point, one of the chiefs of the tribes offers Werner, like he says, you know, we could kill him for you.
No.
And Werner refuses. He says, I need him to make my movie. But thank you, kind of, you know.
But if they were to kill him and you just release this movie and like not talk about the fact that he died and just hide the fact that he died, just be like
It's
he
an
disappeared.
accident of
Malaria.
Can you just like get? You probably get away with that those times.
For sure. Just
Probably.
say the indigenous people did it.
He was shot with an arrow.
It already happened to like 2-3 people, so fuck it.
Werner does take his, you know, kind of beatings from Kinski too. Like Kinski's also fucking yelling at him. And like, meanwhile, the locals stop being happy with him. The workers stop being happy with him. His own crew stops being happy with him. Like everybody's kind of on edge. His DP doesn't like him. Walter Saxer starts getting kind of pissed about this shit. So like everybody kind of starts turning on Werner. This gives us a side of Werner that's like a little different, where it's Werner at his most emo. And so just gonna play you a clip of emo Werner.
Sounds like he would make good music.
He's probably losing his plot a little bit.
Herzog is stranded in the jungle with a 300-ton steamship that won't move, and time is running out. He needs money to move the ship, but no one will invest unless the ship moves first. Behind his back, some of the actors are talking about getting out while the getting is good. Only a few of the cast, crew, and Indians believe in his dream anymore. Even Herzog is beginning to wonder.
And here you see the boat and the whole operation.
It's fucking huge.
Of course, we are challenging nature itself, and it hits back. It just hits back, that's all, and that's grandiose about it, and we have to accept that it is much stronger than we are. Kinski always says it's full of erotic elements. I don't see it so much erotic, I see it more full of obscenity. It's just, and nature here is vile and base. I wouldn't see anything erotical here. I would see fornication and asphyxiation and choking and fighting for survival and growing and...
Sounds like he's fucking drowning in emotion.
Right? It sounds like he's been there a little bit too long.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this film takes 3 years to make.
There's 3 years in this?
Yeah.
Just rotting away. Of course, there's a lot of misery, but it is the same misery that is all around us. The trees here are in misery and the birds are in misery. I don't think they sing, they just screech in pain.
Oh my God.
They just screech in pain.
They just screech
He
in
always
pain.
comes back to the birds.
Man, he likes birds. Yeah, but no, on note of that, yeah, they do be walking around with bow and arrows. And he actually, Kinski pays some of them, basically $3.50, like literally the daily wage per arrow, because he buys a bow. He asks one of them to make him a bow, and then he starts buying like arrows off of them. For what reason, we don't know, but yeah,
Maybe a plot.
Perhaps a plot. So this would all reach its climax on one fateful day. Transport on the set would be done either by boat or small plane, and during the production, there was actually 2 plane crashes, one of which left one of the laborers paralyzed for life.
Boy.
Yeah. So one morning, the crew gets word of another plane crash. So they get on the radio and they try communicating, but the signals are weak and the messages are garbled. It's a matter of life and death. Deciphering through the static could mean saving lives. Unfortunately, that morning, Kinski woke up to a cold cup of coffee.
Literally?
I actually like cold cups of coffee, so that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm honestly, Werner tells the story best. So this is a clip from Conan O'Brien's podcast where Werner tells the story of what happens next.
It's hard to describe it, and in my book I describe quite a bit about it. Number one, there is a side to all this which is hilarious. Number two, I've never lost it. I cannot remember that I ever lost it. I've always been the calmest of calm in such situations.
Yes, that's right. You don't lose it, yeah.
He would scream at the native, people in the rainforest, and they would huddle, sit down, because they solved their conflicts very quietly, whispering in whispering voices. And they came afterwards to me, and one of their chiefs said to me, we were afraid, but don't you believe we were afraid of this screaming madman? They were afraid of me because I was so quiet.
Okay.
And I really meant business. And in moments of real confrontation, Kinski understood when I explained to him things very, very calmly. This is impermissible. This cannot be done. What you are trying, there's a task that is beyond the two of us. We have to stick to it or else. And he would know that this or else would mean he would be a dead man within 30 seconds flat. I didn't have to spell it out.
You just did, though. Yeah, that's incredible.
No, but
that's good that you're doing it now. You're doing it now.
Let's put it simply.
Yeah.
You have to have it in you to stop at a certain moment and to understand, yes, you do not do this. You're not going to kill each other. It's a beautiful script, which is outside of the movie, and the script is not going to happen. Otherwise, you end up on death row, and I have made 9 films on death row, and I know that every single one on death row that I met, men and women, were only a step away from what I am or what almost all of us are.
Yeah, that's true.
Very human beings. We had a plane crash and only garbled messages in our camp. We didn't know exactly where was it, how many people. Can we...
Was this a plane that was coming to this film shoot?
To our film, to our set, transporting extras. And I tried to make sense what it was. In Kinski at that morning, we served coffee in all the huts, and he was the last one because we altered the line of who would be first or last. His coffee was lukewarm. He just lost it over it, and he kept yelling and screaming for an hour and a half, foam at his mouth. I mean, literally, I'm not exaggerating, screaming at the top of his lung, that close to my face, that close. And I tried to explain, Klaus, there's a plane down. We need to understand what the radio, the garbled radio, is transmitting to us. So, and finally, I couldn't get rid of him. I went to my hut. I had one little piece of chocolate, very good chocolate left, and I stood right in his face and ate the chocolate. That was too much for him because chocolate was the most valuable item in the camp.
Yes.
And I ate my last piece of chocolate, and he just fell silent and withdrew. Yeah.
Yes, it's like you shut down the computer. It just went to the Apple. It went to the Apple logo.
Yeah,
There's nothing he could do at that moment.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Apple.
Sponsored by Toblerone.
I just eaten my last piece of chocolate.
Yeah, so exactly. In the middle of all this screaming, he just like, fuck this, goes to his cabin, gets a piece of chocolate, literally the last piece of chocolate in his stock, a piece of Toblerone.
Eats it right in front of his
and like, yeah,
face.
Exactly. Kinski's expectation is probably he's going to bait me and try to get me to eat this chocolate and shut up. Instead, he just eats it in his face and like, fuck you.
You were complaining about the coffee? Well... and now you have no chocolate.
Despite all the troubles, Fitzcarraldo gets made, and it wins him Best Director award at the Cannes Film Festival.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Just want to note that there's this one clip of him, again, being emo, but this is basically just like his opinion, like, of what he would do after Fitzcarraldo, which...
What are your plans when this movie's all over? What are you going to be doing?
I shouldn't make movies anymore. Should go to a lunatic asylum right away. But I don't know, it's very much of it is too crazy and too just not what a man should do in his life all the time. And I feel Even if I get that boat over the mountain and somehow I finish that film, anyone can congratulate me and talk me into finding it marvelous. Nobody on this earth will convince me to be happy about all that. Not until the end of my days.
Very emo.
Very.
That's fucking jungle fever.
I mean,
right
I'm
there.
pretty sure he was just on the brink of just giving everything up.
Yeah. Their relationship, right? Kinski and Herzog's relationship. As much as you see it be tumultuous on set, it's actually interesting because he makes a documentary about the relationship. He makes a film called My Best Fiend in 1999. And what you see in it, he doesn't, take the opportunity to just like be an asshole to Kinski, who at that point is dead. He shows the moments of warmth between them. Because there is moments where like, hey, they're at a festival in Aspen, they're at Telluride, and Kinski literally hugs him,
Yeah.
They're like the best of fucking friends in some moments, There's a story where Herzog says, he tells Kinski, like, that's a nice jacket you have. And it's this jacket that had just been designed for Kinski by someone over at Yves Saint Laurent. And Kinski is just like, here, takes it off, gives it to Herzog. And that's like, Herzog has kept the jacket ever since.
But it has to be like, I mean, they're both crazy people at the end of the day in different senses. Like, Herzog is insane in his own right. So they do have understanding of each other in a sense. And it's like brotherhood through trauma.
Yeah.
Like, even though fuck Klaus, like, he's a piece of shit and I hate him forever, they do have this connection that goes back to like his childhood as well.
Yeah.
And like also they survived together. Like they really did survive 2 movies together.
5.
They literally survived.
Five. And like, here's the thing. This was one that it's hard to pinpoint where, because in his memoirs, he doesn't say when exactly it happens, and it's very difficult to find when. But Herzog actually attempts to assassinate Kinski at some point. There was a night where Herzog, I don't know why, it seems like it's in the midst of production for Fitzcarraldo or like in some sort of break, but he basically goes to Kinski's home in San Francisco with plans of basically just setting his house on fire while he's asleep. And he gets warded off because Kinski has a sheepdog that basically barks and alerts Kinski, so he just fucking leaves. This is something that Werner admits like on his own, that like I was gonna burn this guy's house down. And
I mean, with all his movies, somebody offered to kill Kinski. He was like, no, I have to do it myself.
I will do it myself.
I will show
burn
up.
his house down.
I will show up and I will put him down myself.
I will make fried Kinski.
Fried Kinski.
And then here's another one. And then on like the opposite side, in his autobiography, All I Need Is Love, Kinski writes about Werner. He says, big red ants should piss in his eyes, eat his balls, penetrate his asshole, and eat his guts. He should get the plague, syphilis, malaria, yellow fever, leprosy in vain. The more I wish the most horrible deaths on him and treat him like the scum of earth he is, the less I can get rid of him. And he calls him like the most boring fucking person he's ever worked with, the most cowardly person he's ever worked with, all this other shit, right? Mm-hmm. But it's funny because then in My Best Fiend, the documentary, Werner knows that this is going to be included in the biography because they come up with it together. Kinski's like, I need to say bad things about you to sell this book.
I think they're just 2 gay men.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming out of the closet.
Like, let me sit here and like describe this like intense torture, Yeah, so very, very interesting relationship that they have.
They're literally like trying to make it as if they hate each other, but this is a love story.
Kind of, yeah.
At the end, they just hold hands and walk to the sunset.
They were just fucking in the forest, man.
Yeah. They got that boat over the mountain. Brokeback Mountain.
God damn it. Oh, shit. So their next collaboration would be the one that finally brought that relationship to an end. Cobra Verde follows the story of an 1800s Brazilian slave trader sent to West Africa to tame a bunch of slaves.
Fuck, here we go with the slaves again, dude.
Oh, yeah.
This guy.
So parts of the film are shot in Ghana, which is where like the bulk of what the action, happens. So early on in the production, Kinski goes on a colossal tirade against the cameraman Thomas Mouch. Again, the same guy from Fitzcarraldo. This prompts Mouch to confront Werner, finally, demanding either Kinski is cut or he walks. And Werner does not change anything.
Change opinion.
So Mouch walks off the project and never collaborates with Herzog again. This like ends their friendship.
Wow.
Damn.
Something he regrets, basically. He does regret like kind of being a coward in that moment and not standing up for all his other friends. It's like a very toxic relationship that they have.
Very toxic.
That like really costs him a lot of shit, at the end of the day. In another event in this, they had 800 women, Ghanaian women. I'm going to say women from Ghana.
Yeah.
I believe that's how you say it. So 800 of these women are hired to play Amazonian style warriors. Actually, at the end of all the shooting days, they have to line up to go to this building, to each of them fill their paperwork and get their pay for the day. 800 young women. And so Werner sees this and is instantly like, well, these ladies are going to get fucking impatient if they have to line up like all of them, like 800 of them. So one day, the minute wrap is called on the shoot, the ladies are impatient. They all dash towards the building. But this day, they had used this different section of the building where it was like a narrow doorway, kind of a sort of like bottleneck effect starts to happen, where all these women just start getting like kind of flooding in this place. And so Werner starts to notice that these women are literally trampling one another. There's like girls that are getting pinned against like the walls and shit, and others that are just getting stepped on. So he has to run to this like soldier that's there and kind of begs him to just fire off a warning shot to calm these people down. But that soldier, he's literally the only one there, so he's just fucking frozen and doesn't do anything. So Werner has to wrestle the gun out of this guy's hands and fire the warning shot himself.
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, just one of the wild stories that occurred on that set that I decided to keep in. In one instance, Kinski is photographed trying to strangle Herzog in front of the African extras. The moment is caught on camera, cementing the core of that relationship. So, yep, it's this picture here.
Oh, wow.
This is like a really famous picture that he actually ends up using as the poster to his documentary too.
Klaus is
Oh
a
my
fucking
God.
madman.
Yeah. Werner believes that Kinski knew the camera was there and that he was just trying to create like a juicy moment.
Yeah. Dude, but the one of the guy looks like he's smiling too.
Yeah, like Herzog kind of smiling in this moment because it's happening in front of all the extras and shit. But like the photographer does not buy that. He does believe that Kinski was genuinely trying to kill Herzog in this moment. Mm-hmm. And this would be the last collaboration between the two.
That was like at the end of shooting or mid shooting?
It was in the mid shooting, but this production seemed to be the end. Because like Herzog then, like the reason he says he stops working with Kinski is also because he got everything he wanted out of Kinski. He got 5 different performances.
Got all that dick.
God damn it. And like, and Kinski was also bothering Herzog. Like Kinski wanted Herzog to direct this Paganini biography that Kinski wanted to star in. And like Kinski wrote this biography too, and Herzog just said it was like unfilmable. It's just so bad. Like the script was so fucking bad. It was impossible to make. And he just like kept bringing up excuses to not do it. Kinski finally directed it himself and ended up being shit. But yeah, this kind of like ends their relationship. On November 23rd, 1991, Kinski dies of a heart attack in his California home.
Woo!
Yeah, I kind of just...
Uneventful.
Uneventful as fuck.
Uneventful, but it's heart stopping. Sounds fun.
His son is the only one of his kids to attend the funeral. When asked about the rape allegations made by Kinski's daughters, Werner said this: "All this may change the way people see Kinski in my films, but this shift of perspective won't last forever. Long into the future, audiences will see Kinski again as Aguirre. All these centuries later, the fact that Caravaggio was a murderer doesn't change the way we look at his paintings." He's referencing Michelangelo de Caravaggio. He was actually somebody who had killed people, but was pardoned by the Vatican because he was just such a good artist.
But did he end up at his funeral too?
I assume so. It's not on record.
Herzog and Kinski's son.
But it's kind of like Michael Jackson, how, even though what he did probably did happen, music is still pretty good.
Allegedly.
Yeah, Werner's not really like saying anything about the crimes. He's really just saying more in terms of like the art.
Yeah.
The art, like...
Well, it's all he has control over.
Yeah, exactly. Like at a certain point, people will stop seeing the man and literally just see the characters he played.
Yeah.
Like his history is going to be forgotten and that the art will remain essentially.
Because the pain they went through to make those movies still stands.
Yeah, it's something I believe in as well. More more than one person makes a film.
Yeah.
So I hate when like one person on it is fucking terrible. And that
like,
suddenly condemns the film.
Yeah.
It's
like, how dare you watch this movie? Like, it's a good movie.
Yeah, people have that with like Rosemary's Baby, and I'm like, well, there's like a lot more people working on that movie who
Like
make
The
it great.
Rock and the Fast.
Oh, because it was at
Polanski, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So in 1999, Herzog would explore his complicated relationship with Kinski in a documentary called My Best Fiend. Today, Werner Herzog is 81 years old, living in California, still making movies whenever he can.
Who's got the last laugh?
Yeah. And I got one last story here. One afternoon in January 2006, actor Joaquin Phoenix is driving down a winding road in Laurel Canyon.
That's so fucking random.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You have no idea how random this is. So suddenly another car kind of comes up around a curve and he ends up having to swerve and his brakes kind of give out and the entire car flips over. Completely overturned. Now, nearly unconscious, Phoenix thinks only about lighting a cigarette, unaware of the gasoline leaking around him.
That sounds fucking badass. I'm not gonna lie. Joaquin's got some big
Pretty
balls.
fucking slick, too.
Right? It's like you're fucking upside down and you're just like, you know what? Where the fuck's my cigarette?
So this is Joaquin Phoenix being interviewed by the Los Angeles Times. Quote, I remember this knocking on the passenger window. There was this German voice saying, just relax. I said to myself, that's Werner Herzog. There's something so calming and beautiful about Werner Herzog's voice. Herzog, 63, the temperamental auteur, recently won Best Documentary for 2005's Grizzly Man. He has a home near the accident scene. A publicist for Lionsgate Films confirmed that Herzog had attended to Phoenix after the accident. Quote, I got out of the car and I said, thank you, and he was gone. He didn't wait for like paramedics or anybody else to show up. He just helped them out of this car and disappeared.
Yeah.
What a random encounter. He's just like,
because he did all he could do.
Live, another story.
He's
in
like,
my
I'm
life.
not staying for police reports. Bye.
He's like,
he did
another story in my life.
He did everything he had control over, and then the rest has to be dealt with professionals, you know?
Pretty much.
So I respect that. That's what I'd do.
So like this old man just came out here to save my life.
Phoenix does not talk like that.
I know.
No, not at all.
I mean, it just made him sound like a badass, and I think cowboys are badasses.
We didn't need our palette cleansers for the day, but they're tiny and short, so I'll show them to you guys anyways, because I think these are my favorite little Werner clips. There's only 2 of them.
Hey,
So-
yo, daddy, yo.
Here is Werner's opinion on the Barbie movie.
I bet he loved it.
Could it be that the world of Barbie is sheer hell? And for a movie ticket, as an audience, you can witness sheer hell.
Yes.
As close as it gets.
Yeah.
Wow.
He fucking roasted the shit out of Barbie. I
He
thought
said
he
he
was saying
only watched like 30 minutes of it and left.
I thought he was
I
saying
get
that
it.
about cars.
And then here is Werner Herzog talking about the one time he had to speak French. The parenthesis, he hated it.
Fuck the French.
He hates French. It's weirdly funny.
How many languages do you speak, Werner?
Not too many. I mean, Spanish, English, German. And then I spoke modern Greek better than English once. I even made a film in modern Greek. But that's because in school I learned Latin and ancient Greek. So from ancient Greek to modern Greek, it's not that far. And I do speak some Italian, and I do understand French, but I refuse to speak it. It's the last thing I would ever do. You can only get some French out of me with a gun pointed at my head.
Oh my God.
Or something like that. Then I would speak French. It actually happened to me. I was taken prisoner in Africa, and drunk soldiers on a truck, all of them 15, 16 years old, some of them 8, 9 years old, and I mean, really scared. One pointing a gun here, Kalashnikov, another one here, and another one there. So that was very unpleasant because they were all drunk, and some of the little ones were stoned. And I tried to explain that they probably arrested the wrong ones, and the captain of them shouts at me, "On ne parle français ici." Here we are speaking French, so I had
Quebec,
to
sit.
say a few things in French. I regret it.
He did speak French.
No, he said I said a few things in French. I regret it.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Fuck the French.
The life and times of Werner Herzog.
An absolute fucking legend.
Hates the French as much as we do.
Oh my god, I love
The French
this
from
dude.
France.
There's a ton of stories that got cut out, so look into this man. He's wild. Literally anything you get from this man is hilarious.
He's my fucking hero.
Check the visual companions. I'm sure you've
By
seen
the
them
way,
somewhere.
yeah. Check. There's a lot of clips in the visual companions, so go watch those. There's a lot of visual shit. Go listen to Kinski's rant. It's at least entertaining.
And if you found this shit fun, give us a little rating.
Yeah.
Be honest. Have your fun.
All right. Thank you for listening. My name is John. You can find me on Instagram as Director J.O. and Ramirez. I also make movies. That is Deadtime Media on Instagram and Deadtime Media on YouTube. I just made a film with Priscilla. It is called Society of the Bread. Please go watch that.
Woo! If you guys have anything to do, just like us. Go check out the YouTube. Go check out everything. We have a LinkedIn too. If you see it on our social medias, we'd love you guys.
And I'm
Nico.
Nick. My Instagram is nick.serafino. I love you. Mwah. Bye.
All right.
Masonry.
Give us a good
Love.
fucking rating. Follow us on TikTok. We're BV Pod. Yeah. Take care. We love
Stay
you.
horny.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Don't get shot by a bow.